Okay, to start with, it'd just be good to understand a little bit of context. Paessler, you've decided to launch I think it's your first ever dedicated MSP program. So, what's the thinking? What prompted the initiative?
No, thank you for the question. So we launched in February, and I think it's important to understand that the first thing really was we had a lot of partners who were MSPs that weren't necessarily consuming our standard resale license in a quote normal way, and frankly, we had a lot of partners who were asking for some type of MSP solution. Now we variously in the past did a few options around MSP, but we didn't really have a full established program that talked to some of the things that I think that MSPs want and need. So I think that's the first thing. The second thing is that, look, the market continues to grow. The network monitoring market for MSP specifically is over $3 billion already, and looking to increase by over 14% compound annual growth from 2023 to 2033. So there's going to be a continued growth in this area, and there's lots of reasons why that. I guess we can probe into a little bit of that on some later questions.
Okay, and in terms of the sort of high level objective, we'll go through some of the actual specifics, but the high level objective is, I think, to help MSPs. There's this complexity when it comes to IT environments, which everyone's aware of, and that's probably getting more and more complex as the days go by. But you also obviously want to help them capitalize on that business growth, which you've alluded to. So yeah, just talk us through a little bit more about how that is achieved at the high level, and then I say we can drill down into the individual components, if you like.
Sure. Well, if you look at PRTG or Paessler as a product, I think it's good to start with product. We're network monitoring, right? So one of the core fundamentals of any MSP is to kind of have visibility as to what's happening across the network. So from a product standpoint, we're very well placed in that regard. So to bring that kind of industry-leading technology and place it where it is naturally a fit is a good start. But I think in addition to that, what MSPs are looking for is a bit of flexibility around said program. So they don't just want the product; they want that product to be able to fit within their own portfolio and be able to take it to market effectively and add real client value, I guess, and offer those two as a coupling. So it was really the thinking behind the program and the launch was to bring we've got over 500,000 daily users, to bring that into the environment of MSP and also listening to our partners and really give them the tools and the flexibility around the licensing to allow them to offer whatever their bespoke offering is. Because clearly lots of MSPs have different service offerings and we want to talk to as many of those as possible.
Yeah, so I mean, you mentioned the flexible licensing model, so talk us through how that works in practice, please.
Absolutely, yes. So I mean, at its fundamental core, effectively, the more sensors that you need, the greater level of discount that you get. So the more you invest in us, the more we can pass on additional discount to you. But it's more than that. It's working with those channel partners, MSP partners, in a similar fashion. It's helping them grow and add to their portfolio. And we want to bring from the licensing standpoint, as I said, the flexibility, and what that gives you is effective economies of scale, but also talks to some of the smaller MSPs who perhaps want to utilize monthly billing as opposed to annual, or don't want to commit to such a long term and they do want to keep it shorter term. We've tried to design the program that really does cater for both ends of the market. We've got a couple of ways in which we do that, but at its core, as I said, as partners invest in us, we want to make sure that we can reciprocate the associated discount and level of trust they put to us, not just commercially, but also working with them to a business goal or aim using our platform.
Okay, and then some of the other sort of component parts of the program, I think you talk about the service-led model, so it'd be good to understand what that is in practical terms.
Absolutely. So I think when we look at some of the things that partners want from a service level, they are looking at something that's easy to use, easy to manage effectively. You have requirement for things like multi-tenancy or SLA reporting, all the types of things that, as I said, they can add real value to their clients by bringing that visibility across the entire span of that network. So we bring that to the table. Easy to use dashboards. Deployment, I guess, at scale as well. So not just ease of use, but how do we scale effectively? How do we grow this with and in partnership with Paessler? And we want to make sure that we give all of those tools effectively and make them available upon the platform. So that's what we've done in creation of not just the program and the licensing model, but also the product as well. It's developed to such a point now where we really can drill in a little bit more granular detail for some of those points we've just touched on.
Okay, and then I know you also sort of feature of the program is enhanced collaboration. So yeah, talk us through that.
Yeah, so I mean, my history is managing channels over 15 years in doing so. So I'm first and foremost a channel guy. The strategy here is to really work with our MSP partners in the same way that we would develop any channel. And what does that mean? Well, that means, as I touched on before, investing in them as they've invested in us. I think we both need to have skin in the game, and I think that certain partners in that regard, when required, do need support. And that does mean effective, MDF support. That does mean growth plans, business plans, QBRs, and reviewing, where you are and where we're trying to get to. So that collaborative approach that we typically see in channel, I'm very much looking to bring that and are doing so, bringing that to the MSP table as well, because I do see them as very, very similar in terms of how and when they're able to grow with us.
Okay, yeah, I think you alluded to there, but I mean, so you're talking about co-marketing investment, then there's something around licensing and promotion, and then perhaps last but not least, the dedicated sales resources. So yeah, give us the sort of flavour of what those are meaning in practice.
Yeah, so when we touched on before, how I see it very similar to a channel perspective, what we've done is, we've managed to kind of plug into the existing partner community, as it were. So all the tools that we've made available for our typical resale partners, we've merged across and also made available with a slight tweak where needed for our MSP partners as well. So that is, as I said, event planning execution. That's access to online certifications, both sales and technical. That is joint marketing. That is joint branding, both on demand and bespoke as well. So I think it's the bleeding of our kind of channel approach and resources with this new program as well. In terms of resources, we continue to grow the team. We've got separate teams now in the US. We've got a very established base in APAC as well. And as we continue to grow across EMEA, we will continue to invest in the wider team, as it were, there as well. So fundamentals around that are obviously points of contact, key personnel, but also technical expertise, SEs, support on demand, as it were, as well, to really talk through and understand the nuances of a service-led business and how we can fit into that, both with product and, as I said before, the licensing model as well.
Okay, and I think if I got it right, you've launched this MSP program in Europe to start with. I don't know whether you've now rolled it out to the US or is that still on the to-do list. But I guess it'd just be good to understand. And is this more for your existing folks, or are you looking to onboard a load of new MSPs as well? Just what's the strategy there?
Good question. So we have launched in the US. There's a number of activities happening over there. As I said before, we've hired headcount over there to help supplement the business as well. When we look at the opportunity and the opportunity for partnership and scale, it is twofold. I mean, obviously we have an existing partner community that are already acting as a service-led business and are speaking to us about moving their model across to this new program. So there is a significant partner community that we existing relationship with and have already invested in PRTG as a technology. And we're now adding to that both from a product perspective, but also a licensing as well. But clearly, there's a huge new market opportunity for us as well. When we communicated the launch, we had a fantastic response, almost overwhelming response from a net new community standpoint. So we're in discussions with many partners that are all net new that are looking for that fundamental visibility across their network using a network monitoring tool such as ours, but coupled with a platform that supports it as well. As I said, the way we've designed the program is we do have lots of options available, be that for, as I said, some of the SMB, smaller service-led businesses, right the way up to the more established NOC or SOC type operations. We really do cater for both parties in that regard, and hopefully we've got I keep saying flexibility, but that was really fundamental to the program in terms of catering to as wide a group as possible on the platform of Paessler.
Okay, and in terms of end users switching to a managed services approach, I mean, what do you think is the scale of the opportunity, both for Paessler yourselves and I guess the MSPs, more generally, where I suppose the question is, where are we on this MSP sort of curve, if you like?
I think, as I said, there's already been a huge demand and inquiry-based outreach to us. But I think the core fundamentals are that the reason that a lot of partners are offering a service-led business is to really allow clients to concentrate on their core capabilities, but really to kind of lower operating costs and be more efficient. You mentioned it before, we're continually evolving in our complexity in so many different solutions, so many different technology vendors that are acquired and are needed to run certain businesses and industry. So it's a natural move towards that service-led model. And as I said, the complexity is increasing. Hopefully we can start to bring down some of that associated commercial cost involved by giving these service partners the right tools to work with their clients and add real value, allow them to scale infrastructure and just simply make it simpler for enterprises to adopt new technologies. The pace of new technologies will not relent, and therefore we need to make sure that we're giving every tool and assistance to those service-led partners as possible.
And maybe just one more thing. I think I first bumped into Paessler when sort of AI ops as a topic sort of hit the headlines, if you like, and then that seemed to morph into observability. Just your thoughts, I suppose, on that market. Has it matured and people fully understand it, or there's still a bit of an education required? And again, I suppose what you see as the potential in this very complex IT environment, whether it's on-prem or people are going to the service model. There's clearly a lot of component parts to an average company's IT infrastructure, which needs some kind of visibility and managing, I guess.
Yeah, so I think the complexity of networks is such that we have hybrid models. Certain infrastructure in the cloud, certain on-prem. More than often, a combining of the two. I think we need to cater for both as best we can, but have that eye on the future that that evolution of both new technology coming in. Where does it sit? Is it on-prem? Is it in cloud? Where's that critical infrastructure sitting, and the responsibilities associated? I think that we, as Paessler, need to continue to evolve to fit both of those models and make sure that we're supporting not just today, but the scale and growth of our partners moving forward, and have that one eye on the future to say, okay, more critical infrastructure maybe shifting to the cloud, or may even be built, being brought back in the other way. The requirements fundamentally are the same, and that is visibility. What do I have? How is it performing? Is it up? Is it down? In order to offer a successful service-led model, for me, one of the first fundamental things is, where is everything and how is it performing? We need to have eyes on. Before we do anything about it, before we add additional service to helping remediate or change certain aspects, we do need to see what's going on in the first place. So we really do sit at that core regardless of whether that's sat locally or otherwise. And so I think that certainly both from a market standpoint, I cannot see that the MSP opportunity is going to change for both partners, clients, and indeed vendors. But I also think that at the same time, it's going to continue to be driven by new technologies and new ways of doing business, be that AI or other aspects. I think that those core fundamentals are not going to change in terms of the performance of the network as a whole.
That's been fantastic to chat, and we managed to, or at least you managed to mention AI before the conversation finished, because that's almost compulsory these days, isn't it? But well, I suppose AI Ops, which I mentioned, includes that. But no, seriously, thank you very much for your time. Enjoyed it. Some great insights into the channel program, MSP channel program itself, and the market more generally. So yeah, thank you very much indeed.
I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.